Hello, everyone, and welcome again to another episode of our Hopsworks 5 Minute interviews. We're doing this as a community initiative just to bring together lots of really cool people from the AI and ML industry. And this started in December 2023, and here we are in March 2024. And I am talking to a wonderful guest. I don't know which continent you're in right now, but welcome, Abi Aryan. How are you?
Hi, Rick. Fantastic.
Fantastic. Well, welcome again, and thank you for making the time. I appreciate it. I've been a fan of some of your work that I've been seeing on the socials, and that's why I reached out to, get to know you and introduce you also to some of our community members in our part of the world. But many people might not know you yet, Abi. So would you mind introducing yourself and just say who you are and what do you do?
Yep. So, hi everyone. My name is Abi. I'm currently a machine learning engineer, though. I didn't actually start there. I've been in the field of data science, machine learning for about 8 years now. Currently, I'm the founder of Abide AI. We're working on building a second brain and sort of integrating AI into all of the technology around you, so all the hardware and everything around you.
Fantastic. You have to, forgive me, but Abide AI, it always makes me think of the Big Lebowski, the dude abides, but that's just me probably, and I'm showing my age here. But
the key idea behind naming it Abide was more like because our machine learning models are stochastic the way they operate. And one of the big problems with those is, and especially like how ML is scaling up with deep learning primarily, the big question is we don't really have solutions around interpretability. That's something which is still a hard problem. I was like, well, if we're building this technology, the first thing that we need to think about is making sure that it is always constrained, which is a question people in alignment and people who are working on evaluations and all those people are talking about. That sort of laid the foundation for how we need the company.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a very interesting topic, and I think it will actually get a lot more attention in the next few years as regulations and compliance will become a more integral part of the field. So, but how did you get into it? How did you get into this field? And you said you've been doing it for quite some time, but what brought you to this world?
So I was doing my master's again in maths, computer science, started some behavioral finance. But my dissertation thesis, we were thinking about what topic do I want to work on, and I was studying network theory, basically how does information travel along different nodes in the universe. And I found it very similar to how information travels within our brain, and thinking of it as like, oh, it's very similar to neural networks. So I ended up doing my thesis on image recognition, though using a very different kind of neural network. I was working on Hopfield networks, which is basically an energy-based neural network as compared to like the deep learning models that we are seeing today. So Hopfield models were sort of popular in 1990s. They didn't catch up. Energy-based models are still, an area where there's not enough research in the field. And I was sort of working with those ones. And, the master's thesis happened, eventually started working in data science doing BI, which is business intelligence stuff, then doing data analytics stuff, and then data science, and then went into research. In research, I eventually realized, research is fun, but at the end of the day, I'm just writing papers. So, let me go back to the industry. Once you go back to the industry, there are not enough people who know how to deploy models in production, which is a lot of data scientists just came with data science skills. And that's when I sort of transitioned into doing ML engineering and doing more of like data engineering work as well. So now I'm doing a combination for the past 3 years. I've been doing a combination of all the three things, which is being indulged or involved in research, you could say, in ML research. I also have been building data pipelines and been doing ML ops stuff as well.
Very interesting. I didn't know actually that you had a network theory background. I worked for a company called Neo4j for 10 years, and graphs are everywhere,
Exactly. Knowledge graphs. They're making a return in the field right now, especially with LLMs.
I think so too. Yeah, absolutely. Great. And so, if I can just ask, where do you think this is, so attractive and so important? Obviously, you have a background in this and you got into the field, but what makes it so attractive to you?
So with me, I was always fascinated with behavioral sciences and thinking about how can we optimize human performance. And that sort of got me into the field of AI because at some level, I wanted to understand how our brains do work and then sort of replicate the same thing in technology so that we can sort of give away or delegate the things that we're doing which don't need to be done by us, which is anything which is boring, anything that's repetitive. Why are we wasting time on it? Let's do more creative stuff. Anything which is analytical can still be done. I mean, yes, there are big gaps, which is any reasoning-based work. Our models don't really work on those very well. They're not able to do inductive reasoning very well yet. I think they're good at deductive reasoning by now, which again is sort of questionable because there are not enough benchmarks on all those ones. Analogical reasoning is something which our models still struggle with, but I think we'll eventually get there.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's a really great way of putting it. I think also with the advent of the LLMs last year or the last 2 years, where lots of people have kind of seen how it can really advance their daily jobs, how it can really help them, like GitHub Copilot and all of these types of things. It's like, wow, it can do this for me, right? It's and it can help me focus on the more important stuff. That's a really fascinating part of our work, I think. Really great. And I have a last question for you, if you don't mind. We like to keep these interviews quite short and snappy. So, but my last interview is always the same. Where do you get your information, and where do you think other people should get their information? And what would you recommend that people take a look at? And obviously, there's all the content that you produce yourself, but there's probably some other secret stash somewhere that you can point people to.
So I stay super active on Twitter, even if I don't make posts, which is I spend about 2 hours on the platform every single day, just collecting everything which is going on in the field. Because Twitter has this very interesting culture of talking about, I did this experiment, this happened. Can somebody explain why this happened? Which is, it's not about preaching, it's more about learning. And along those lines, there's a really nice podcast by a friend of mine. It's called Thursday AI Podcast by Alex Volkov. He right now is an AI evangelist with Weights and Biases. So right now, I think he hosts one of the best podcasts in the field. It's about 2 hours long every Thursday. It has its own Substack, which has like the transcriptions as well. So even if you miss out on it, you can catch up on Substack, read it, or listen to it, however you prefer. It's called Thursday AI.
That's a great pointer. Thank you for that. And thank you in general for helping the community the way you do, and also for participating in this short little interview. Really appreciate it. And yeah, I hope to bump into you in a conference or something like that face to face. That would be fantastic.
Likewise. Thank you, Rick.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.